Alright, we're going to get started here in just a second. I am beyond excited, and I want to talk about this with hopefully a couple people that are here in the chat. Should be very interesting. Alright. So, Pokemon X are returning to the trading card game. You heard that right. That is Pokemon X, not Pokemon EX. This is an older mechanic than Pokemon EX. Pokemon EX were a mechanic in the Black and White and X and Y era. So Pokemon EX were two prizers that have either didn't evolve or only Mega evolved. They gave up two prize cards, but they are not these. Pokemon X are from the Ruby and Sapphire era of the trading card game. They are much older. In many ways, they're like the original GXs, right? They are Pokemon. They were two prize cards that evolved from real regular Pokemon, not these supercharged Vs or freaking tag teams. I can barely contain my excitement. It took me this long to start the stream because of how excited I am about this. Water Pokemon Master on PokeBeach has put together a pretty good article on this. I'll link to it in the description after the stream's over. But the short of it is, this is a mechanic that existed quite a long time ago, this Pokemon X, and it's coming back, and it's great. And the reason I am extremely excited about this, again, is because these Pokemon actually evolve. So you see here, Blaziken X evolves from Combusken. So you see right here, again, Combusken. Now, when we look at these cards here, you can see on Lucario's image, Lucario X very clearly evolves from Riolu, not from Riolu X, not from Lucario V, none of these multi-prizers. You actually have to work for that extra HP. You have to evolve into it. You have to earn it, right? And your little guys on the bench are squishy. They're a lot more vulnerable than your Pokemon V are right now. So these Pokemon V, a lot of these have 190, 220, 230 HP. They're these big beefy tanks that take all this damage and sponge it very easily. Well, with these newer Pokemon, yeah, you have cards like Mimikyu X that have 190 HP, but they don't evolve. They don't get any extra benefit. Lucario X has 260 HP. Magnezone X has 330. But at the same time, Magnezone X is a Stage 2 Pokemon, right? You have to work for that extra HP, which is extremely exciting. And we're going to look at what we can see so far from these cards. So let's go and look at Koraidon X and Miraidon X. So Koraidon has an ability called Dino Cry. Once during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic energy cards. That's 2 basic blank energy cards. We don't actually know what type it's referring to at the moment. They have hidden the typings, the weaknesses, the resistances, everything on these cards in particular. So we're going to only know part of how these cards work. But we have the general text, so we're going to talk about it anyway. Again, that's once during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic blank energy cards from your discard pile to your basic blank Pokemon in any way you like. If you use this ability, your turn ends. So again, you're getting that energy acceleration of whatever type it may be. I suspect it's probably fighting type, but we'll see. Kind of got the rocks and stuff on this image, so maybe it's a ground or rock type in the game, maybe fighting type itself. We'll see. Wild Impact 220. During your turn, this Pokemon can attack. So that's Zacian V's attack, basically. You do a bunch of damage, and you have to retreat out to get what you want, basically. Miraidon X, so Tandem Unit. Shout out to Tandem TCG. Tandem Unit says once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic blank Pokemon. Again, we don't know what type this is. Based on some of the images they've shared, it may be Lightning type, but we don't know for sure. So basic blank Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. So again, we have Photon Laser, 220. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So these have identical attacks. We don't know the costs, obviously, yet. But it's interesting, right? We also don't even know if these guys evolve, although based on the layout, probably not. But we could see it either way. All right, so in here we have. I'm not gonna throw the whole video on during this stream real quick. This is gonna be a quick stream. We're gonna be over pretty quick, but we're gonna see what we can on these cards here. So you see the Magnezone. Actually, I'm gonna pause before we get much further. I'm gonna look at the chat because I've been distracted. All right, so Gil says, I remember there was a time during a period in mid to late Sun Moon where they brought back so much stuff from Gen 3. So Firestarter, Blaziken, Smoothover, Macargo, Baynet GX. That was definitely Celestial Storm. Tandem is right. That is very much Celestial Storm. There was a lot of Gen 3 love in that particular set. Lowercase X is returning as well as hype. Yes, it is. It's not quite as awesome as the original GX is returning just because they don't have that extra element of the unknown, kind of like the V-Star abilities or the V-Star attacks, right? Or again, the GX attacks, obviously. But you still have to work for that evolution. You have to evolve into the Pokemon. If you say Miraidon's ability, you. Haha, very funny. Gil says, though I expect Wrestle stuff to be lazily slapped on X's and only those get access to it. We'll see. I'm thinking it's going to be an X specific mechanic, and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this real quick. So you have, there's this logo for X, right? But there's also this logo for X. There are two different logos. Now, this reminds me a bit of the Ultra Beasts back in Sun and Moon. So if you look, let's look at like Solgaleo GX, right? So you have the original GX logo where you got that bright blue, and then you have the different logo here with the Ultra Beasts having the dark red in that logo. So there was something to distinguish the two of them from one another. I think there might be something along those lines here in this particular mechanic. Obviously, they didn't reveal that today. So we see, I want to point out Koraidon and Miraidon again, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have that, the like really bright crystalline logo. Oh, yeah. Here we are. Yeah. Oh, no, they don't. They have the regular one. That's very interesting. Okay, so we haven't seen anything from the crystalline logo Pokemon just yet. I do wonder if they'll treat that more like a level X or like a Mega Evolution. I don't necessarily want a fourth stage like Pokemon Break were, but we'll see how that goes. They could even do something like what was it going into? A tool card that would do it too. I kind of don't think they're going to go that route though. I think they're gonna do something else. Let's see here. I feel like it's either a stage 1 or 2, so it's not that good. Miraidon, same situation, useful but not amazing. I'm actually curious about this. So let's look at the template. Obviously, they could be hiding it from us, but we have there's no circle on there, so I'm assuming that maybe these don't evolve. So they did evolve. They did reveal Cyclizar, which is the new. Where's my article? They revealed Cyclizar, which definitely resembles the legendaries, but I do wonder if he's a Prevo or if he is just a related Pokemon. There's I don't know if it's leaks or just suspicions that Miraidon and Koraidon may be forms of another Pokemon, like past and future forms. So we'll see what that means. They could be pulling the wool over our eyes. This could be a Solgaleo and Lunala situation where they do actually evolve. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But if they do evolve, I agree with you. I think they're probably not that great as stage 1s. At least not before the V-Stars rotate out. Slower format would definitely help. Honestly, the Sun and Moon Lost Thunder format, I know I go on and on and on about that format, but it was such a good format because there was a chance for you to come back. And one of the things that they pointed out during the live stream was that there's going to be a big focus on comeback mechanics in the Scarlet and Violet era. So I do expect there to be an in-reprint, maybe not necessarily by name, but by effect. Because if they're going to go back to those comeback mechanics, I would not be surprised in the least to see in or its effect. We might see something like Counter Energy from Crimson Invasion. So Counter Energy here, this card provides colorless energy if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. And if this card is attached to a Pokemon that isn't Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX, this card provides every type of energy but provides only 2 energy at a time. So if we can get something like this, maybe a revision with, if it's not attached to a rule box Pokemon, that would be fantastic, right? This could be huge for the trading card game. We also have cards like Counter Catcher or POW hand extension. POW hand extension. You can only use this card if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Move an energy card attached to the defending Pokemon to one of your another of your opponent's Pokemon, or switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with the defending Pokemon. Your opponent chooses the defending Pokemon to switch. In that case, that's an older text because you could have multiple active Pokemon in double battles. Still really, really exciting. Let's see here. They hold hidden Silver Alien on stages. Yeah, they did. It's entirely possible it's a stage 1. But I kind of hope not. At least for the trading card game, I hope not. Psycho could evolve into one of them. Yeah, it could definitely. We have in at home. Roxanne is not in. Roxanne is not in. I don't know how many times I need to say that. Roxanne has never been in. Roxanne is just Ace Trainer. It is not the same card. I'm sorry, but it is not in. It does not function the same way, and decks do not want it the same way they would want in. It's Ace Trainer. Lockhart Gaming, I talked to you about it on Reddit the other day. It was fantastic. It's such a good time to get back to the game. You stopped playing like me and the team up era. Oh yeah, I talked a little bit about. Oh yeah, that's why your name looks familiar. Yes, Sun and Moon Lost Center is such a phenomenal format. I have, if you're familiar, I have an entire what do they call it? The archives game. I can't remember the brand, but the archives that have 12. I can fit 12 decks in. I have 12 Sun and Moon Lost Center decks ready built because I just love playing in that format, and it's really, really fun to just jump into a game and enjoy that format. I actually really hope, and I doubt they'll do this just because, at least with Marnie in the format, although Marnie is about to rotate, maybe they will, if they could revert also back to the original first turn rule. Roxanne isn't if the player has 6 prizes and the opponent has 2. I mean, sure, but like Roxanne is also not very good for the majority of the game. That's the problem that Roxanne has. It's so bad for the majority of the game that in a majority of decks that could run it, they would rather not because it's a dead card for so much of the game, which is a problem because if it's supposed to be a comeback card, like it's cool, but you need to be able to way to get it well that's not going to penalize you. Jeff says, I know it's not. I know, I'm just playing it up for laughs because I've had so many conversations about Roxanne and N and how we already have Roxanne, so we're not going to get N. Look, I just want N back. When are mystery plates from Skyridge coming back? Well, I don't know. We'll see. When my deck comes back. Well played, Tandem. All right, let's jump back in real quick. We do have the other Pokemon to look at real quick. So we have images of Lucario, Mimikyu, and Magnezone X. If I can find them. Alright, so we don't see a lot of these two especially. You kind of just see their... but I just want to point out too, that's the Galaxy Holofoil from the original era in the base set era. So that's like base set through... Was it Fossil, I think it was? That was the foil that they used, right? Let's see here. All right, so Magnezone has Energy Crush for 50 times, so it's 50 times damage attached to opponent's Pokemon. It's not... Oh, all of your opponent's Pokemon. Oh, okay, so that's Starmie for a single Lightning Energy. It's a stage 2, though, so... Pulse Launcher 220 does 30 to itself. That feels really bad, honestly. It does have 330 HP, so that's something, I guess. I guess we're missing a lot of context, right? We don't know if there's some other support for this that we don't know yet. But it does, at a glance at least, seem underwhelming as a stage 2. Let's keep going. Can we see any of these guys' stuff? No, not really. It is so... No, they go through it way too quick. I think Magnezone's the only one we really see. Like, we can see the damage for Lucario. Keeping up the tradition, but it's a stage 2. Look, the game is too fast right now for stage 2s. If they're gonna go back to the original Rare Candy, one, that would change the game pretty drastically. But like that would fix it. It's so bad is a very kind way of saying it's unplayable. Yeah, I suppose. Keeping the tradition of but it's too basic. Okay. So I know the art seems kind of 3D. So they did this a lot with the EX era, where the Pokemon all come out of the card, right? They all come out of the frame. Yeah. They did this a little bit with the V Stars too, not quite to the same degree, but it's obviously echoing that same general idea. But I think the art style is definitely more reminiscent of the EX art style. There's definitely a lot of they're definitely aping this era a lot while still borrowing from the X's. All right. But okay, so getting potential cosmetic. Yes, Level X did it too. That's true. That's actually what I was thinking of, and I blanked. I can't do that from there. I need to do. On my list, just support the whole thing already. Come on. No, and you don't support that search term, so let's try that. There we go. Yeah, so they did the same idea. Yeah, definitely coming out of that frame. I'm excited. It just this so let's talk a little bit just about how this is good for the game. So I'm talking about Sun and Moon Lost Thunder and that format where we have where you're evolving through weaker Pokemon, right? So it's good in a way. It's good in many ways actually, but one of the ways that comes out to mind right away is it's less advantageous for your opponent to go gust up a Pokemon on your bench that hasn't evolved yet, because it's no longer a 2-prize Pokemon. But at the same time, you also have the disadvantage of being easier to spread kill. So you have, like right now, like let's say you have, let's use a bad deck as an example. Let's see a Duraludon in the active spot, right? So you have Duraludon in the active spot, and it's the VMAX, and you have a benched Duraludon V. You're trying to get it evolved up and ready to play. For whatever reason, you put a second one down. Your opponent now can just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with that VMAX in the active spot. Let me just take down the V, get the 2 prize cards, and be done with it. But with these Pokemon X, there's no longer a 2 prize evolution source, right? So you're gonna have the pre-evolution Pokemon there. So with this Magnezone, for example, if you have a Magnemite on the bench, there's a lot less of an incentive for them to go after that Magnemite, even though it will evolve eventually into the Magnezone V-Star, because it's not a 2-prize Pokemon. So now the decision to boss up that Magnemite is strictly a strategic one, right? They now know that they have to choose between bossing up that Magnemite as a single-prize Pokemon or doing whatever they need to do to knock out whatever you currently have active. There's actually strategy involved. It's not just go for the extra prize card. And then on top of this too, because everything has lower HP on the pre-evolution side, you are able to do things with stuff like Level Ball, right? So now you're searching for your basic Pokemon, not with Ultra Ball, not with not with Quick Ball because it's hard to rotate, but you can do it with Level Ball, right? So you can find a Lucario, or a Riolu rather, to evolve up into Lucario X. We don't have to panic about losing Quick Ball because the basic Pokemon that are going to be coming out actually have lower HP. Level Ball will do the job. Let's see. Tandem says wants to join. We're not doing voice chat right now. David Rennie says, I hope we get another Fire V-Star. We only have Charizard right now, right? Isn't that the only V-Star that's just Charizard? Oh, we should for sure get another one. Right? We have to. It would probably be in Paradigm Trigger. In the Japanese set Paradigm Trigger. Because Paradigm Trigger is the other half of Silver Tempest. Because we already know all 3 of the V-Star Pokemon from Incandescence Arcana. That's going to be Superior, Vulpix, and I didn't add it on here yet. I already did it for Pokebeach, and I didn't do it for my own website. Mawile. Mawile is the other V-Star from that set. El Trinity B says, what about Dragon? I'm not sure what the context of that question is. Dragon, we have Dragonite, Giratina, and Hisuian Gudra. I don't think we need more Dragon-type V-Stars. Like I said, there are quite a few of them already. Yeah, Mawile is the last one. We have... Is it just the one fighting type V? No, we have two. Oh, three, because of Cleaver, too. I think a fire type V-Star is an inevitability in Silver Tempest, because it is just Charizard. We have, is it just Palkia for water also? No, Glaceon. And then we have Leafeon, Superior, and Lilligant for grass. Dark type has a couple. Fighting has a couple. I think it's got to be Fire. Fire is going to be one of the last ones. Psychic has two. Oh, and I forgot about Shaman. Shaman too. Yeah, it's got. I feel like there's going to be another Fire Beast, so I think that's going to be a guarantee. Hey, Reginald, welcome to the stream. Kind of winding down here as we talk about the last of the Pokemon X. But I just want to say again, real quick, that I'm excited for this change. I think it's gonna be good for the trading card game. It makes me less excited for Silver Tempest and less excited for Sword and Shield 12.5, simply because now I want this to be out already. But I also know that it's very likely that a lot of these Pokemon X won't be good out of the gates. And that's a little sad, but a lot of the time when they put these sets out, the first set for this new mechanic, a lot of the Pokemon in those sets are just not good or aren't competitive enough to survive. So Sword and Shield base set, if you look at Sword and Shield base sets, Pokemon, the Pokemon V from the set, most of these saw no competitive play or saw very, very little, right? You see stuff like, Keldeo, which I wanted to work, didn't ever work. Stonejourner has only recently really seen any success. Snorlax and Expand a little bit, Zacian and Sableye, sure. But a lot of these, they were pretty underwhelming, at least, especially at initial release. Reginald said 330 HP on an evolving stage 2 is crazy. Yeah, but that's good, right? It's something you actually have to work toward. Because you're not going from 230 HP to 330 HP. You're going from 80 HP to 330 HP. There's a huge advantage to actually evolving up into that stage 2. Initially, yes, the GXs were pretty awful too. So if we look at Sun and Moon base set, in fact, I think other than Decidueye, they were basically all pretty bad out of the gate. Solgaleo saw play. Umbreon saw a little bit, at least initially. Lapras did see quite a bit initially. But stuff like Gumshoes, it's all bulk. Most of these Pokemon were terrible initially. Rakendi will be very good through those stage 2s. Yeah, because they'll actually have some bulk. Right now, all of the big heavy Pokemon are effectively basics or stage 1s. Right? There's not a whole lot of effort you have to go into in order to get that big boost in HP. So Rare Candy does become much better because you suddenly benefit from it. Now, 260 HP on that Lucario is nothing to scoff at, right? That's still a fair amount of HP. That's right up there with a lot of the V-Stars. Not quite as much as Palkia, but it's still pretty good. And Solgaleo was good initially, too. Tauros was fun to play with. There was Drampa that was super good. It had some good toys to play with. Drampa was a lot of fun. Multi-prizes are always pretty bad at the start. Yeah, they are. Several of the original X cards and X Ruby Sapphire make no sense in terms of why this costs 2 prizes. Why would you play? Yeah, that's kind of how a lot of them are, I think, initially. Let's see here. We want to look at I don't know if I can do it this way on here. Let me see. Can I do it? This is X. Come on, there you are. Weird. All right, so yeah. Let's see the earlier X Pokemon. Page 3. Geez, there were a lot. There we go. Well, you don't want to put a Hitmonchan X in your deck? Johnny B says, I think X will be good because we'll be able to get 2 prize cards turn 2, while V-Star's can only get 1. Yeah, that's decent too. Because if your Riolu is the active Pokemon, yeah, it's probably going to get knocked out though. But if you have 2 Riolu down, like one on the active, one on the bench, that Palkia, sure, it can knock out the Riolu, but for what advantage? These are so bad. What a memory lane trip. All right, I think we're winding down. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here. Urshi could make a splash with all these weaker mons on benches. Yeah, Urshifu absolutely could, and it's going to make Manaphy really, really important, um, especially for these decks. But if they print something to deal with that Manaphy, there could be a real problem. Den of Evil says, opinion question: do you think we'll have to wait to for V's to rotate out for X's to come fully back into their own, or will they make an impact right away? I think there will be. I think there'll be Pokemon X that do make an impact immediately. It won't be all of them. In fact, it will probably only be a couple of them, but they will. They absolutely will. They're not going to introduce a brand new mechanic and have it just literally see no play immediately. That means there probably will be some element of power creep involved, whether that's extra damage or extra HP. I'm hoping the flip to, like we were talking about a little bit ago, the flip to having single prize pre-evolution Pokemon will help deal with that. But we'll see. Fun fact, Chansey X can evolve into Blissey X. Is there Blissey X? Am I missing a card? Yeah, sure enough. Evolves from one or the other. That's kind of cool. On here is rating it Greninja aggro. Oh, Gil, you would. I mean, that's going to be really important for Palkia, right? Palkia is going to want to go hard in on the Greninja if it needs to knock out a couple of Riolu, for an example, or Magnemites. Excited for increased attention to comeback mechanics. Yes, I am too. I talked a little bit earlier about cards like N and Counter Energy, stuff like Counter Catcher. I didn't actually bring that up earlier. Counter Catcher would be very, very good. That's also Crimson Invasion. So if you're down on prize cards, you get a free gust basically. It's pretty good stuff. All right, Tandem's put up a type. Thank you, Tandem, for that. I'm gonna go. If you guys are in the Discord, it's in the news discussion channel. Tandem went through and did a quick research for us. So we have by type. In fact, let me just pull this up real quick. Here we go. All right. So by type, we have 4 grass type Pokemon V-Star. So Leafeon, Shaman, Serperior, and Lilligant. We have 1 fire type. That's Charizard. 3 water type, Alolan Vulpix, Glaceon, and Origin Form Palkia. 3 lightning Pokemon, Magnezone, Rotom, and Zeraora. 5 psychic, jeez. Mewtwo, Typhlosion, Mawile, Deoxys, and Whimsicott. 4 fighting, so it's going to be Aerodactyl, Lucario, Decidueye, and Cleaver. 3 darkness, Drapion, Darkrai, Samurott. 3 metal, that's Dialga, Zacian, and Zamazenta. 3 Dragon, Dragonite, Giratina, Gudra, and then 2 colorless Arceus and Zoroark. So right now, Fire is definitely due another one. I think Colorless is probably due another one too. This, I'm curious how that's going to play out because I feel like this is very under appreciated. Fire, literally only 1 V-star is crazy. Denethevil says comeback mechanics probably means cards with V-specific detriments. So in the stream, they specifically said they were printing Pokemon, trainers, and energies for comeback. So we'll see what that entails. But like I said, I expect there to be a good mix of all of them. And I'm always hopeful for an in reprint, or either by name or by effect in Scarlet and Violet base. Another thing that's really interesting too, and I didn't even point this out earlier, but if you look at the video, when you're seeing the Miraidon and stuff, and this is true also of Magnezone, they have completely hidden the set information on the bottom. I'm probably wrong, but I do wonder if they might decide to change how they do set releases going forward, because the set sizes have been so big lately. Stuff like Fusion Strike is just enormous. I could see them going to like an every 2-month thing instead of every 3 months. Well, they probably won't do them, but they could. And Scarlet and Violet would be a good excuse to do that. Arai says, given that we have X cards, I think they'll focus a lot more on healthy mechanics. I'm hoping so too. I feel like there are a couple of different design teams for the Pokemon Trading Card Game, because you had like the Black and White EX era where you had like this really toxic Mewtwo war, and then you go to Sun and Moon, early Sun and Moon, where you have really, really healthy mechanics that are super good for the game, really make things rich. And then whatever happened with tag teams, like the freaking murder of the card game. And then the VMAXs that tried to fix it but borderline made it worse. And then with the V-Stars, it's like the Sun and Moon team, early Sun and Moon team came back and were like, okay, how do we start undoing this damage? It's going to have to be gradual, but how do we start undoing the damage? Every 2 months means you can't keep up with pre-releases. What do you mean by that? Because pre-releases would just be every 2 months too. So you'd have a set, like a month and a half with that set, and then pre-release would hit. Smaller sets would be great. Most dropped out as a collector because of how big sets are getting. Yeah, that's a big thing. Tag teams actually were interesting. I mean, the biggest problem was how they were designed. They were way overtuned for the format, and they are solely responsible for the power creep that we have had to deal with. Because before the tag team Pokemon, the game max HP was 250, and that was on a stage 2. You weren't getting these basic Pokemon with 270 HP or 300 HP. That wasn't the thing. And then on top of that massive HP spike that the tag teams brought in, they were also way overtuned in their attacks too. Pikarom is easily one of the most egregious examples of being way overtuned. Do you think there is a booster box of Oh, for sure. There will be booster boxes of this set, for sure. I mean, that's how stores sell the packs, right? I think the tag teams could have been done right. The tag teams could have been done much better. Like, the concept is cool, right? You have 2 Pokemon on a single card that work together to do something, right? But them being 3 prize cards was a problem. That in and of itself hurt the game. VMAX is exacerbating that problem by continuing it and further increasing the HP made it worse. 3 prize cards are not good for the trading card game. It makes comebacks basically impossible. Once you lose momentum, you pretty much lose, unless your opponent bricks. Let's see here. One-Eyed Sheep says, it's nice to hear about how the game was before I joined. I had no idea how pre-Swish was. Sword and Shield base set hurt the game by itself, but it Zacian hurt the game by itself. Marnie did too, to be fair. And then losing that first turn supporter when so much of the game was functioned around that, especially at the time, it was not good. Mew Mew was interesting. Yeah, like design wise, there were cool choices. Like Mewtwo and Mew was overpowered too, mostly because of its HP and the resources it had. But conceptually, it was very interesting, right? It was a very toolbox deck. It was interesting to see and to pilot. But being worth 3 prize cards was never a good thing. Its HP was not good for the game, and then Welder on top of that just made it too much. Nick Daly says, just got cut up on the Discord. Am I understanding correctly? This is good news for single prize deck lovers like myself. So, Nick, maybe. The multi-prizers are still involved, but I don't think they're going to be as dominant, probably. I think single prizes will stand a chance again, because that was one of the things about the early GX era, and especially Sun and Moon Lost Thunder, is there were decks, single prizer decks, they were able to do what they needed to do to win because they didn't have to eat so much HP. I think if they tune the single prizers correctly, the single prize archetypes correctly, they'll be able to still compete with these 2 prize Pokemon like Koraidon X, Miraidon X, and Magnezone X. I remember the time everything had 120 HP or less. It's been a minute. There, but it kind of invalidated playing any evolution GX as standalone options. Yeah, the tag teams did that all on their own. Between Pikarom and Zapdos from Team Up, those 2 cards together pretty much murdered any choice you had to play single prize archetypes, unless it was something like Blacephalon where you just blew up stuff because you could do so much HP and win through the prize trade. Because that was the only choice you had as a single prizer, was to just do crazy damage so you get out of the prize trade. There was no real back and forth anymore. It was blow up or lose. Moving to global release, global standard, there's that possibility, right? That's something that's a potential thing too. It does look like they're either trying to sync the rotation with Japan or trying to make it more similar to Japan's rotation. So I would not be surprised to also see some sort of sync up with the release schedule with Japan, whether that means they release the same sets as Japan and we see the same sets here, we see them at the same time, or maybe like Digimon does where it's a couple months later. We'll see. I'm scared what happens if the crystal form is not going to be in this set. I'm not sure what you're meaning by that. Are you talking about like the Crystal EX or Crystal X rather? The other logo that we saw in the trailer. I think they'll be in there. It's probably going to be like Koraidon, Miraidon X, and Koraidon, Miraidon X crystal form or whatever. Can't wait for the 3rd Scarlet and Violet base or Scarlet set to be a Charizard set. Burning Shadows with Sun and Moons, Darkness Ablaze, yeah. I mean, but you also have to remember there was also a Charizard in Vivid Voltage, which was the 4th set. There was also a Charizard in Brilliant Stars, which was the 9th set. Like 9th main set at least. You get a lot. Single prize archetypes are quite overtuned at the moment. Just look at Lunatone and Reggie's. Can easily hold their own even against 3 prizers. Tuning down the meta is definitely needed, but single prizers will need to. I don't think so. The problem is like Solrock and Lunatone and Regigigas still aren't competitive. Yes, they can win games, but you don't see them at top 8 at Worlds, for example, right? There was no Solrock Lunatone in top 8. In fact, I would be surprised if it was in top 64. You don't see Reggie's. You might maybe see Reggie's top 64. I didn't look at the full list, but it's not. They're not winning big events like this. Yeah, they'll probably win online PCCGO tournaments, but nothing with the bigger turnout like in real life events. Nick says I was referring more to the evolutions. Yeah, it's proper evolutions now. You're going from Riolu to Riolu X, from Magnemite to Magneton to Magnezone X. I keep saying the wrong thing. Nick said, wasn't there a reason people said Worlds would never be in Japan? Do you think having Worlds in Japan now could put both areas in the same rotation? Yeah, I do. I do. I think there's a decent chance of that. And it would be very interesting if we do have some sort of synced release schedule with them, either staggered or directly on the same. Um, then it would be very interesting. Problem isn't very narrowly missed top 16 with Regis. That's cool to hear, but that's one player with the Regis deck. That's not like Palkia or Arceus or any of these multi-prize archetypes that completely swallow up the top 16. Pablo Mess is also an amazing player. They just need what they really need to do is do what they did with Sun and Moon Lost Thunder and the early Sun and Moon era in general, is to where the two types of decks, the multi-prizer decks and the single prizer decks, are able to trade reasonably with one another. All right, I think I've left this stream board a little too long. Kind of rambled for the last like 15, 20 minutes at least, I feel. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the live stream on Friday this week. It's going to be Hisuian Zorak versus the world. So Hisuian Zorak is going to be taking on some of the meta decks. I expect to see Hisuian Zorak try to deal with Mew and to deal with Arceus or with Palkia. We'll see which one ends up. Depends on who I can get to pilot them. But again, thank you guys for watching. I will see you hopefully very soon. And if you're not already in the Discord, definitely join the Discord because it's going to be a fun one. Have a good one.